Well, AEW Homecoming has just come to a close, and I must say that compared to the last few weeks where AEW was just on fire, this episode was just kind of okay. And honestly, that's fine, not every show has to be a home run, but this episode did have one major talking point, and that of course was the highly anticipated main event between Malakai Black and Cody Rhodes. It's no secret that I'm a Cody Rhodes fan, and I'm also a huge fan of Malakai Black, so I was really looking forward to this match. But I think going in, we all knew that this match had to have one single result, and that was Malakai Black coming out victorious, looking strong. And because more often than not, AEW knows when they have to deliver, they delivered more than what we anticipated. And within the blink of an eye, they created a top star in their men's division. This is Tranquilo Club, and this is Malakai Black's dominant arrival in AEW. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, NXT was once the hottest product in America. And it was hard to deny. I mean, they had all the talents in the world and they had the budget of WWE backing them. It was essentially a super indie, except their pay-per-views would take place in huge arenas that would usually outdo the main roster pay-per-views the next day. And as I just said, they had one of the best rosters assembled in recent memory. You had guys like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Andrade El Idolo, and I was a huge fan of all those guys. But there was someone who I was really a big fan of as well, and it was Aleister Black, who a lot of people also knew by the name of Tommy End in his time before WWE. Tommy End really had all the tools to succeed in WWE. I mean, he had the height, the looks, the athleticism, and he could talk. But there was something that separated him from everybody in NXT, and that was his character. It's hard to even describe the character of Aleister Black without putting these weird labels on them like WWE did themselves, like calling him moody. But his character in NXT was a dark, brooding character. You know, he was kind of reminiscent of The Undertaker, except with all the magic. And in my opinion, that worked perfectly well with NXT, who at the time was very based in reality. A lot of their characters were less over the top than what you would see on the main roster shows. And this isn't a video where I'm gonna say that NXT got Aleister Black wrong, because they didn't. They actually got him pretty damn right. His presentation was near perfect. His entrance music, his character as I just mentioned, and his booking. He was NXT World Champion at a time when that roster was stacked, so that tells you how Triple H felt about him. Aleister Black felt and looked like such a star in NXT that naturally a lot of people thought that since he was so character heavy, he would be a perfect fit for either of the main roster shows. And let me tell you, I was not one of those people. I'm actually the one who's confused that people don't seem to realize that a man who's over 70 doesn't relate to these characters of today. And it's not even really an age thing, because take Martin Scorsese for example, he's still making some excellent movies at his age. But come on now, Vince McMahon is no Martin Scorsese. He's out of touch. Which is why when Aleister Black was called up to the main roster in 2019, I had my doubts. And over the course of the next 2 years, my doubts were proven to be right. Aleister Black did almost nothing of significance for the entire 2 years he was on the main roster. And I'm not even gonna break down his time on the main roster because we all know how bad that went. But I do think what must be brought up is in 2021 when they were finally making all of these video packages for the return of Aleister Black, and he finally showed up on SmackDown, and it seemed like WWE was finally gonna give this guy a chance, and then just a week later he was released. And that's really all you need to know to see what WWE's planning is. It was really their loss to let Tommy End go, because this guy is a creative genius. If you listen to him talk, he has so many ideas and he pitched so many of these ideas to WWE. But in the end, WWE just isn't the place to be if you have a creative mind like that. I mean, look at Bray Wyatt. WWE runs like an assembly line. They're never gonna change their ways. They're stuck to a formula, so they don't value a creative mind, a creative person. So Tommy End was better off anyway going somewhere where his creativity could flourish. And thanks to a clerical error made by someone in WWE management, that's exactly what Tommy End did after his 30-day no-compete clause expired. And as we all know, he would show up at AEW Road Rager in shocking fashion, where he attacked Arn Anderson and Cody Rhodes. And I said it before in another video, I thought this was the perfect feud for Malakai Black to have as his first feud in AEW. Because, well, whether you like it or not, Cody Rhodes is a top guy in AEW. Hell, it's arguable that he's the face of the entire company. So for Malakai Black to come in and feud with Cody right away and possibly get a win over him would make him a huge name in AEW. And while the story itself was built up pretty well too, it was the classic good versus evil story being told, Malakai Black wearing all black and Cody Rhodes wearing all white. You know, there was a lot of good imagery in it as well. And I think most of us expected this match to happen at All Out, but to a lot of people's surprise, it would be announced that this match would take place at AEW Homecoming. And you know what? I think this ended up being a smart decision because the return to Daly's place needed one big match to get people to watch and be excited again. Because I'm gonna be honest, I was pretty bummed that AEW went on the road for an entire month and had all these great shows, and then just 1 month later, they're back in Daly's place. But hey, Cody versus Malakai Black was enough reason to tune in and be excited. And man, did they deliver. AEW did a really great job in building hype and anticipation for Malakai Black's in-ring debut. I mean, I was excited to just see his entrance, because that's just how fascinating this guy came off in those 4 weeks that he was on TV. AEW did a really great job in making Malakai Black appear like a big deal without even wrestling. Just the way he talks is more than enough to get you invested in this character and make you want to see what he does next. And to Cody's credit, he did really well in this feud too. Anytime he would cut a promo, it felt like 2019 Cody all over again. Like I said, I'm a huge Cody fan, but going in, I knew this match needed one result. Malakai Black needed to go over and look like a monster. And look like a monster he did. We finally got to see Malakai Black's first entrance as an AEW wrestler, and his presentation was spot on, just like his NXT days, but still different, a new version of this character. People underestimate how much presentation matters, but AEW did a really great job with presenting Malakai Black as a threat, as an important figure in AEW with his entrance right here. And of course, Cody makes his way to the ring in Cody fashion, and the match begins, and it's straight Malakai Black domination from the get-go. There was a really sick spot where Cody was up on the turnbuckle, and then Malakai kicked them off, and then Cody went flying through the ring announcer table, and it was just hilarious and epic. Cody absolutely got his shit kicked in, and it was reminiscent of his squash match last year against Brody Lee, and it was actually the same result as the Brody Lee match. Malakai Black completely squashed Cody Rhodes and pinned him with one foot on Cody's chest. 1, 2, 3. After those 3 seconds, Malakai Black will forever be a made man in AEW. At this point in Cody's career, a lot of people were spreading narratives that he never loses, that he never puts people over, and this proved all those people wrong. This is why you keep Cody strong. This is why AEW books Cody the way they do, because of moments like this. Because when someone beats him in dominant fashion, it'll mean something. People act like Cody beating Anthony Ogogo, who was only having his 3rd match ever, was like Triple H beating CM Punk in the middle of the summer of Punk in 2011. One halted a white-hot wrestler's momentum, and one gave a rookie a platform. They're not even comparable. Plus, look at all the people Cody has put over: MJF, Darby Allin, Malakai Black, Brody Lee. When it's time to elevate a star, AEW does it at the right time through Cody Rhodes. And that's exactly what happened here. Malakai Black went from being a guy in obscurity in WWE to coming in AEW and squashing the face of the company. And keep in mind, this was Black's debut match in AEW. This was his first ever wrestling match for the company. Imagine what he will do next. This just clearly shows that AEW will back Malakai Black the way that any company that had him should have, because Malakai Black is a man with all the tools to succeed in professional wrestling. Like I said, he has the look, the presentation, the athleticism, and the promos. Tony Khan himself said that Malakai Black would become a box office draw for AEW, and Tony Khan is truly standing behind this by what we just saw on Dynamite. AEW's main event scene is just about to get a whole lot more interesting with the arrival of Malakai Black in such dominant fashion. I mean, just think about it. Black versus Omega, Black versus Moxley, Black versus Allen, Black versus Hangman. The possibilities are endless, and I wouldn't be surprised if Malakai Black is in the world title picture sooner rather than later. And how could he not? AEW actually know what they have with him, and it's times like this where I'm happy that there's an AEW, because it gives wrestlers the platform to prove that they are truly elite.